Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Malik's in the house.
Okay, so we have Mike Majlak on the podcast here today. If you don't know him from the, you may recognize him by some of the folks he's dated, some of the podcasts he's done, Impaulsive podcast, 5 million subscribers with Logan Paul. You may recognize him from a book, The Fifth Vital you sent me, very interesting story. And, I think you and how did we get connected the first time? We got connected because I told Logan to take a 90-day break.
Take a break. Logan Paul, I think what you need to do is you need to take a break. Yeah, that one, I don't know why that was so controversial in the camp.
Yeah.
Like, it's looking back, I just watched that video tonight. I did a bunch of, research on the way in here, and I watched that, and you were the same person that I've come to know you as, well-spoken, researched. You brought up examples from your own past, how you hired your PR team. You didn't like what PR team stood for because they told you what to say. And it's now watching it seemed very well thought out. But yeah, how did we get connected in the wake of that? Was it through George? Potentially?
I'm trying to see because we spoke that day for, we got on, you know what it was? It was that. And then there was also a falling out that was taking place where we reacted to, I think there's a falling out going there. Maybe there's something going on with George
yeah.
and Logan. And was it not? At first, nobody really knew if it was for real or not.
Yeah.
But by the way, before we get into this, very important to show this, Rob, because can you pull this up? CNN breaking news. Literally right now, okay. Biden's response to Jordan attack is likely to be powerful, but U.S. is wary of triggering a wider war with Iran, officials say. Which we'll react to this later on. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of Vince McMahon. We'll talk a little bit of California. I saw your tweet about California. I want to see what you're going to say about that. We'll talk some Janko. We'll talk some Logan Paul. We got a lot of things to talk about. But why don't we start off with this? So what I don't know a lot about, Mike, is the following. I started social media late, okay? I've never downloaded Vine. I was never on Vine. I got on everything super late, right? And I think I'm 7 years older than you. I think you just had a birthday. Happy birthday to you.
39. I got one more.
That's right. The last year
one more year, bro. One more year, and it's over.
So
back is gonna hurt.
So tell us like the history of yourself. Maybe I don't know how far you guys go back. You, Logan, Janko. How did all these relationships and friendships get started?
That's like a multi-tiered question. That's like a going back in time, dude. Going back through the Old Testament. First of all, I want to say this. We've been trying to get the show done for a while. Your team's been great. I've been trying to make the dates line up. I am honored to be on the show. You are, as I said, extremely well spoken, extremely well researched. Willing to talk about topics, all you guys, by the way, that are considered to be, taboo or outside the box. And I've told you this before on the phone directly before coming on the show, and a huge fan of what you guys are doing. And to be completely honest, even after 420 episodes of Impaulsive, sitting down with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kevin Hart and a lot of really big names, even semi-debating Shapiro on the show. I get nervous to do these shows. I still do. I get very tense being around guys that are well studied, well researched, and being on someone else's home turf. And I made a decision at the end of midway through 2023 after saying no to a lot of big podcasts. I mean, up front right off the bat, Tate has asked me to come out to Romania, and I'll say, oh, the state of the world is bad right now, or different comedians. And I for 2024, I wanted to force myself to get outside of my comfort zone and to take some chances. And, I walked in here. You guys are fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? It already feels like I'm hanging out with a bunch of my friends, so which is great. But I just want to get that out of the way and say thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate that, yeah. And by the way, to say to you, I think I even commented on that video saying your perspective on how you give your feedback is also thought out. I mean, you're a very good communicator. when I watch that show, and sometimes you jump in and you give your thoughts, it's very obvious you're a talented. Logan wouldn't have you be his co-host or as a partner unless if he thought there was value that's being brought up both ways. And I think it's worked out very well between the two of you guys.
He was always, getting back to your question, he was always meant to be this one-man superstar, which he's finally kind of like, he's reached his final evolution into now with WWE. And this character that he now plays that, just obviously won the other night at Royal Rumble, retained his title. He was always that guy, and I was always the networker. That was my goal. That was my job since day one. Coming in, building relationships, this person, that person. In fact, doing my best to squash beefs that might exist between himself and KSI, who he now has, a massive beverage company, hydration brand with. That was kind of what I always brought to the table was networking. It's probably the thing that I'm best at in life. It's just ability to build rapport with people quickly, make them feel comfortable, and just build those friendships pretty quickly. I was working actually on the brand side when I met Logan. I was at a company called Lovesack that sold these oversized.
I love them. I had one.
This guy went on a rant about how much he loves Lovesack.
I would jump off my balcony and fall on this thing to show people how sick these things were.
They're phenomenal.
They're amazing.
Yeah, and there's no beans. It's like a shredded Durafoam. But basically, this guy Sean Nelson started this company, and the thing skyrocketed, and it went from these oversized not beanbag chairs into these modular couches. When I joined, it was probably a $58 million annual brand. I joined very, obviously, as you know, very rough around the edges, coming off of just some really nasty shit that I'd been through in my life. Just doing my best, faking it till I make it all the way, the whole entire way, and just applying whatever skills I had. And one day I got an email from our agency, our ad agency, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to connect you with this influencer, Logan Paul." This is like 2015. Like, influencer? What does that mean?
So 2015 is 9 years ago. Logan would be what? He would be
20
years old.
21, something like that. And
so before he had a beard.
Yeah, bro.
When he had the hair, the side.
Bro.
Like Justin Bieber-ish.
Logan, keep the beard, bro. You look good.
The worst. Like, the worst days. The worst days, dude. Oh, no. Yeah, no.
It's a different human, right?
By the way, this is like the Logan Paul that a lot of people still resonate with.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people who still, like, no matter what he does, no matter what rope he jumps off, no matter what, company he starts, no matter how well he does in the podcast, this will always be the Logan Paul that a lot of people know. They despise this douchebag-esque character, right? And this is who I was linked
That's
up
your boy
with.
right there.
Yeah, 2015.
Did you know who he was in 2015?
No idea.
So you have no idea who Logan Paul is?
Absolutely no idea. I was working at this brand, had a great job, was making six figures, had stock ownership, had all the benefits, 401k package, everything, and I loved my life. I was doing doing what I had come to kind of understand and learn, which was social media pretty quickly. And I get connected to Logan. He sends me his text message that says like, "Yo, what's the deal with these love sacks? Can you fuck on them?" Like that's what he asked me, and
that's message number one.
Message number one.
That's
and I'm a marketing manager at a corporation that's currently going from 58 million to 200 million annual. Like we're on that path. We're about to. I'm literally months away, or maybe a year or so away from ringing the bell on NASDAQ, which I did with them. And I don't know how to respond to this. Am I supposed to respond as a cool guy? Am I supposed to respond as a corporate guy? And I took a risk and I said, "Yeah, they're great. The covers are machine washable, so if you get cum on them, it can wash right out." And he thought that was the funniest thing.
Classy response.
Yeah, just like a real.
Well, you're talking to a 19, 20-year-old at the time.
So back to the point of me being a communicator, a rapport builder, I said, what does this person want to? Like, how do they want this message delivered, right?
Yeah.
Laundry,
exactly. So I sent him this, and that then led us to kind of hitting it off, starting this friendship, which then led to a brand collaboration that we did at Travis Pastrana's house, where we met for the first time with Roman Atwood in Maryland. And it was just immediate rapport. I mean, it was we built a friendship, and slowly but surely he asked me more and more to be a part of the content, which I did. And then in late 2017, I was hanging out there more and more in Los Angeles, and then Tokyo happened. And that was obviously a nuclear bomb.
Were you there with him, or
I was, and I'd flown back, and obviously he was on this massive trajectory to
this is the suicide thing.
Force, yeah. So he was on this trajectory to be the biggest thing ever already, in a very different respect. In social media, brand world had a very successful clothing brand. I think did $50 million in 2017 revenue at 20 or 21 years old, and this happens. And my phone is just blowing up. I mean, hundreds of text messages on New Year's Day. And that whole situation slowly led to me joining the team in a business role, which was basically basically being his big brother, going out there and being someone that's like there was a lot of jokes about it being like a babysitter role, but just joining the business team. He had a lot of loose ends on the business side, legal that was taking too high of a percentage from him. A couple people with their hands in the pot that shouldn't have been there. I cleaned a lot of that stuff up, worked with his manager to clean a lot of that stuff up. And that then led to us discussing the idea of starting a podcast together, which we did in November 2018. And then the rest is televised.
Boom. Got it. So, and then to that point, when does George join you guys?
George and Logan had already been friends prior to me and Logan becoming friends. They had been at 1600 Vine together. They'd made a ton of videos together. They were like best friends basically already. And so when I came into the picture, like he was already there. And then as far as the podcast is concerned, obviously we went through two co-hosts, Spencer and then Mac went through. They were on the show, and we parted ways for various reasons. We actually just shot an episode with those two guys last night. So, which was cool to bring them back. So we had all four of the original kind of co-hosts together. And then George came on notoriously or historically on the 6ix9ine episode, for 6ix9ine's first episode after being locked up, after all that stuff went down. Had an amazing episode. The audience resonated with him in a major way. And
with George or with 6ix9ine?
With George.
Okay. Not 6ix9ine.
No,
okay.
Nobody's going, yeah, that guy.
Although, listen, if you put 6ix9ine in front of a camera, that guy gets eyeballs. People are so interested in the way he is.
That's not a good thing.
So okay. I mean, it's a business model for some. But so George comes on. He lights up with Tekashi, with the 6ix9ine. That goes well. And then is it kind of like, hey, let's kind of bring him back one more time, and it becomes a regular?
Slowly but surely, he started being on more and more episodes. And then I remember Logan wanted to extend revenue share basically with him at one point, which we did, and he became a partner in the show, basically.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long did that go with George being on and the three of you?
He was there. Do you have the episode number for that 6ix9ine episode?
215.
So he was there from 215 probably until about 360 or 370. He was there for a long time. George, make no mistake, George was has a big part of the show. He's a staple of the show, and easily the biggest 3 slot we've had. Mm-hmm. Definitely the audience favorite 3 slot we've ever had. Potentially the audience favorite in general, to be honest with you, at certain points at least. And
Why
so
do you think
he was
the
with the
audience
show.
loved him so much?
He it's weird. I think George kind of prefaced a wave of conservatism, traditionality, and religion that he kind of predated a little bit. I mean, if you go back to the 6ix9ine episode, that was well before there was a red pill push. That was well before Tate had really started to, explode. And I mean, yeah, back in 2020. And so I think there was already an appetite for that type of traditionality mindset and that return to conservatism. And he was kind of hitting that audience. And, I think as far as viewpoints are concerned, I'm in the middle of George and Logan, and that's not to say Logan's a liberal, but he's the youngest of the three of us. He was raised in a not his household, because in his household would be in Ohio would have been very conservative, but the way that he's grown up in front of the camera, he's been around a lot of showbiz, Hollywood, PR people, as we discussed earlier, and I think that potentially could have swayed some of his viewpoints to where they were at that time, because they're really not there anymore. I think he has and I have both probably moved a little bit over the past couple of years.
What caused that?
I think living. I think living. I think, as they say, the youth votes left, and as you age up, you start to yearn for that conventionality and that conservatism that you remember from and are attached to from the days of old, right? And you're like, damn, it wasn't always fucking like this. Mm-hmm. It wasn't always like this. And young kids want progression. They want, how far can we take this thing, dude? Like, well, where can this go? And as you get older, you're like, damn, man, I remember a day where you would see your neighbors out and you would say what's up and you'd spend time with them and the family unit was protected and all the other things that we're talking about now. And so I think George was actually on the forefront of that a little bit, and I think the audience resonated with that. So
the falling out with George, because when I watched that first time, I'm like, are these guys falling? Like maybe, and I think it was like, oh, they're falling for it. Even though PBD podcast, another podcast is falling for this. There's not really, and I'm like, maybe there's not really anything. Maybe there's like a little bit of a, what do you call it, like a unscripted drama, right?
Yeah,
to kind of like, and that, I mean, obviously that's effective. Kim Kardashian built a whole brand. Keeping up with Kardashians, and who knows what percentage of that is effective. So one time it's my birthday, and I'm sitting here doing a podcast, and then these guys decide it's a phenomenal idea to start a fist fight and fight each other. I have no idea what's going on. So they start cursing each other out. You're full of shit, and raising their voices. I'm like, wait. What the hell is going on here? This lasted for about 7 minutes, by the way, right?
Yeah, it's believable. Watch this. I'll punch you in your, watch this. I'll punch you in your face right now.
Step outside right now.
Hold me back, Mike.
Step outside.
Wait, is this real?
Yeah, I'll punch him in his face.
So, anyway.
And then it was your birthday.
It was my birthday. Like,
I was like, you know what? I'll meet you outside. I walked outside.
I said, I got what's going on
I came back in with a cake.
Oh, that's nice.
But I'm still waiting
don't
to
mess
step
with him. He's
outside.
from New Britain, bro.
I'm from Yonkers, but I grew up in New Britain.
So,
Nobody is
some New
scared of
Britain there.
Connecticut. Mike.
Oh, really? Yo, now we're gonna beat your Mike together. Your ass.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Two Connecticut guys.
He's right.
Okay.
I'm a
You're from Connecticut, bro.
Bro, you're from.
So anyways, going back to George. So what happened? Because are you even involved in this, or is this like shit? You're in the middle, and two friends who are going prior to you, they're going at it, and you're kind of trying to be the mediator. What did you see? What evolved to this? Obviously, I've seen some of it, but how did it get to the point of saying you're fired, you're out, we're moving on?
I think you saw that. I think you saw where I was just by way of what was televised. I mean, I 100% was a bridge and trying to be a mediator in the situation. I think that there was, as I mentioned earlier, in what George kind of stands for, that is so ingrained in his being. It is so innate and real and authentic in him that it is his life's purpose to push the work of the Lord, to push the ideas of conservatism and traditionality and family unit and monogamy, which is incredible. But I think that that's not to say that those values are not important to Logan or to me, but that's not necessarily what that show is about, if that makes sense. It's an entertainment podcast. We have guests on. I asked Rick Ross today before I came here. We had Rick Ross on the show. We were supposed to have Johnny Manziel on as well today. I asked Rick Ross if he was interested in being cryogenically frozen, which I would like to talk to you guys about as well. There's not, we're not asking him like, when did you decide that this person, when did your relationship with Jesus reach this point? That stuff's incredible and so important and so impactful. And the fact that George has devoted his life to doing that stuff is incredible. But it was slightly disjointed from the more jovial style of the show. And I think that. And by the way, this is just one part of it. It's pretty complicated scenario, but I think that kind of I think it really messed with George even more because he knows that he should be doing that stuff, talking about that stuff, prioritizing that stuff. And the fact that this wasn't an environment that was conducive to those type of conversations, I think was an unattractive situation for him.
So let me ask this question. Do you, because for somebody that watches a show or consumes a show, you're kind of like, okay, those guys there's an element, it fits. It's working out our podcast. There's some days I do 101, great, some like that. But there's our group that likes Home Team podcast, and it's just us talking about events, views, what's going on, current event, this, what about this, and we do business, politics, me, Vinny, Tom, and Adam and Tom. And, Tom will take up that entire space with notes, and he'll literally come and prepare hours.
Charts.
But, it's different. So for the audience watches it and say, each person played a role, okay? Maybe you were the point guard. Maybe Logan's the scorer. He's a 2, but he's the guy that's driving the eyeball. So if he's playing Michael, you're playing point, whatever, and he's playing third, and, still, let's say, team that's working out. Do you think the whole process could have been handled in a different way for it to either end or for it to continue? Because based on what you're saying, it's fair to say, look, this is what we're talking about. George has a certain set of values and principles that's so core to him. He's not going to change. We can't change him. He can't change us. Best bet is, here's what we're doing, right? We're going to go part ways. But do you think there's a different way you guys could have gone about wrapping up the relationship?
In hindsight, everything can be done differently. There could be a little tweak here. There could be a little tweak there. He had already started his own show, which, as you all know, has become extremely successful. Yeah, I mean, there were conversations that happened that were, in my eyes, looking back, they could have been done a lot better. There were conversations that involved religion. There were conversations that involved, George's feelings and George's sentiment towards how he was being treated by guests that were on our show. That potentially could have been overlooked. I'll just say this for myself. I really did, from the bottom of my heart, try the hardest that I possibly could to when I saw things start to go off the rails, a little bit from both sides, to try to steer it back on track. You can simply just watch the episodes and you'll see me putting my hand up like, yo, don't, this is going too far. Like, he's pissed off. And by the way, he has a reason to be so. Like, I did that the whole time and did the same thing behind the scenes. And so I can only speak for myself. I'm 39 years old. I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and I like to believe that the way that I handle relationships, the respect that I have for people, the empathy that I have for people, the care that I take in every single interaction that I have in this world, I feel fantastic about the way that I did in the situation. I ran into George the other day. I know you probably weren't going to say it because it was.
I'm not going to say it. You could say it. I'm not.
So I texted you about it. Obviously, it was the first time I'd seen him since everything had happened. I was on a plane down here, and I was sitting in my seat, and texting, and I look up, and there he is.
What are the chances?
There he is.
Crazy.
Yeah. Getting on the plane.
On the way to Miami.
On the way to Miami.
Well, that's. Who's not coming to Miami this time?
But I tell you though, it's not. Listen, there's a lot of people I've done business with for the last 20 years, and I've not ran into them at the airport. So it's pretty random.
I knew it was going to happen
eventually.
It was serendipitous, and I knew it was going to happen. He was with Belle, who they just got engaged. I'm sure you know, and incredible. And honestly,
super sweet girl. I mean, you can tell they're in love.
They're both incredible people. George is an incredible person. Those values I talked about before, those are not teachable values. Those are ingrained in his soul and his heart. He's a beautiful human, and Belle is a perfect mesh for him. Like talk about a couple that I knew that we all knew this was going to happen. And so I see him on the plane with Belle in tow, and I think he didn't really know what to say, and I was just in shock. So I just did the only thing that felt natural to me, which was I stood up and I put my hand out. And I just put my hand out, and he shook my hand, and we smiled at each other, and it was like nothing had ever happened. And sometimes you have disagreements, sometimes you have falling out, sometimes you have business issues. By the way, I haven't covered all the factors. Some of it we still don't talk about very publicly on both sides. But sometimes you have those issues with people, and the only cure, and this is so hard for a lot of people to hear when they're in these scenarios, is time. Everybody wants things to be solved now because it's uncomfortable for them. Nobody wants to feel like someone's mad at them. I would hate to piss you off on the show, any of you guys. I would leave here and I'd be like, damn it, dude. What can I do to fix this? What can I do to fix this? And as you age and you gain wisdom and experience in how the world works, a lot of times you realize that time is the only thing that's going to fix something. There's no solve that can be taken right now.
So this flight was from LA to Miami?
Yeah.
So that's a 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how far you guys were sitting from each other.
Well, that was another complicated situation.
Okay.
So
What I'm suggesting is the fact that it's not you're like
I was in 2B. He was in 2Z.
But like you have 5.5 hours to think. Oh shit, is this guy? Like you didn't talk to him during the flight. After the flight, you get out. You're checking luggage. Like walk us. Like the story doesn't end. Hey, saying hi.
Oh yeah. Okay. So when George flies, he flies a group of people with him. His people, because it's how he is. He flies with his people. I was in first class. Okay,
that's my guy.
Okay, but now George can obviously afford to go in first class. But
he's flying with a group of people.
Yeah, of course, people, and he probably, I don't know, maybe he can afford to do that. Maybe he just doesn't want to when he flies economy. But like, talk about like a shitty situation for me to like start off the interaction like an asshole. Like we're having this quick conversation, and then I'm like, oh, I got to sit back down here, and I don't know. It just felt like rich people kind of have like a. Like not rich people, but like people that are in a situation of class that is over someone else, you get looked at. Like it's just a weird scenario. Like I wish I was just sitting somewhere near him and it would have been a little bit, I don't know. It just was weird.
Okay.
To like be back there and then to like say, okay, like I'll be up here like eating these fucking mixed nuts.
Well, listen.
I don't know.
Sometimes
roasted nuts.
When we're not flying private with PBD. You know, PBD's in 1A. Vinny and I are sharing a seat next to a fat person.
Wait, is that
in 27C and D? So
we sleep on fat people's shoulders.
So sometimes we're flying private, sometimes we're flying Spirit. You can't get too comfortable, Mike.
Although Spirit's about to go out of business.
Yeah, they are.
Because a judge denied them being bought by JetBlue, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, the merger, right? Yeah. So I don't know. And what I was getting at with that is it was just a weird dynamic. And he's like humble and flies with his crew. I'm like, dude, I'm 6'3". I need the fucking room. My videographer's in the back. Shit, if I could put my girl in the back, like, no, okay. Nah, but
okay. So when the flight's over,
so the flight lands, we get off and we have this conversation, and it literally was like nothing had changed. I mean, it was, I just want to tell you guys congratulations, and he's got big plans for the show, and I told him, dude, congratulations on the Tate shows. Like, dude, I said you have what I think a lot of people consider to be one of the more preeminent Tate interviews. You know what I'm saying? The way that he was able to humanize, push back on him, ask hard questions. I know you also did obviously a fantastic job with that beast of an interview. And he told me that he's just in a better place now. He's in a better place mentally. He's excited about the future because, as we all know, when you are misaligned with your purpose in life, that brings along problems. It brings along anxiety. It brings along, lack of confidence. It brings along a lot of things that I think he was experiencing.
Mike, one quick follow-up. Hypothetical. Let's say you're sitting there, you're on the flight, and it's you and Logan sitting on the flight, first class, 1A, 1B, George walks in. How would that situation been different?
Logan would have bought the plane and kicked everybody off.
Evidently,
hypothetical.
Yes,
everybody off.
Correct.
This is a hypothetical, but Logan's sitting there as well.
No. So evidently they're talking too.
Okay.
Evidently there are conversations there too, and they've been exchanging Christmas cards. I will say I didn't get a Christmas card from either of you guys. So
that's messed up.
Hey, they both got each other's Christmas cards. So it is what it is. But yeah, I have a feeling that it's just one of those situations in life that worked out the way it worked out, and everyone will be better or at the very least different as a result of it. And everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I like to believe so.
So for me, I watched the exchange, where he's like, you said I need a therapist instead of Jesus because Jesus isn't doing it for me or something like that. And Logan's like, no, that's not what I said. Here's what I said. So tell me why I need a therapist, because, you need to upgrade your life. What do you mean by that? Like you need to improve certain what parents, emotional intelligence, me emotional, and then going back and forth, and then eventually, so of course you're against gays, you're against women, you're an effing scumbag that would support Tate, and obviously it was fast. Emotions are high when this is being said, but for me, when I size everybody up, when I size you up, when I size Logan up, and I size George up, I don't know any one of you. Meaning, I've not broken bread with anybody until that day George came here. And after he interviewed me at the cigar lounge we had, then afterwards I took him to the house. And then we were you were there as well. We were eating, and he was with
he was with his crew and his girl.
Yeah, and then afterwards we hung out. We were at the house and all this stuff. And then Jennifer's like,
Give him
"Hey,
a truck."
Guys got to go to sleep." And I gave him the truck. So I take the truck.
He took his truck.
Bring it
Are you
back.
serious? Like,
Yeah, he needed a car.
Truck.
Yeah, forget. So, anyways, so that was the experience with George, and then we had him George here with
Marmar,
the Assyrian, which was very interesting, different kind of an approach conversation, And then he wanted to get in contact with Tate. I messaged Tate. It's like, absolutely, and I put them in contact together. I thought the guy freaking was unbelievable. By the way, I tell you, I said this a few podcasts ago, and I told him privately as well. This guy's not good. This guy has the legs to be really, really good in this space, because he can not only draw from a lot of different things, and he actually knows how to hold himself together under pressure and still ask the question and be fair. It's, and the part about the different dynamics, then I'll go to Logan. With Logan, when I watch Logan, I think Logan is on a frickin', what do you want to call it? On a jet,
rocket ship.
I mean, rocket ship is a better one to stardom, attention he's getting, wrestling. They're obviously turning him into the next superstar, whoever that's going to be. Is it going to be the next Rock, the next this? If he's constantly winning, they're building the next hero, right? Into whoever. He's going to be a phenomenon in that area, and soon to be a billionaire with his drink with KSI. They're doing $1 billion, $2 billion a year, whatever they're doing. Prime is everywhere, UFC. And when you're that young, going at the pace that you're going to break a lot of things. And there's not really a full-blown manual, because one manual, again, when I'm sizing him up, I've never spoken to Logan. This is your friend. I've never spoken to him.
Yep.
We've never had an exchange. But when you're going that fast, you got your manager, you got your PR, you got all these people trying to tell you what to do, and then you're trying to tell everybody to let me do what I want to do, but then if I say this and it's really what I say, I may lose this deal and lose that deal, and what about this and what about that, and there's this much money sitting on the table, and those guys told me be careful of this because you don't want to piss those guys off because they may buy this. There's so much noise. It is so noisy where he's at in here that there's nobody that knows that but probably him and guys that came before him. So maybe a Rock, maybe not that many guys. It's only going to be like 10 people that he can go to talk to that are going to understand where he's at. Now,
Very few people.
Having said that at the same time, when you're a God-fearing, God-loving man, and you live your life the way George is living, you have grace. And grace means you're going to go, God's going to bless you. He's had an incredible life. And by the way, the job he did with the interview, he's got some 330,000 subs in a month, his YouTube channel. Yeah. There's guys that do that for 10 years and they don't get to 30. He did 330 in a single month. And I know what it is to sit in the back of a plane and go with a crew of 10 people. You're trying to save money because it's like instead of buying a flight, $1,500, and then you're doing that. We've all been there before when you're doing that. But this guy's going to make a lot of money. God willing, he's going to be a great father. He's going to be a great husband. He's going that route. And I think in Logan's ear, when you're by yourself alone, again, my opinion, and I'm very comfortable being wrong for the rest of my life. I'm very comfortable being wrong. It's very hard to find Jankos in your life as a friend. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's so hard to find a Janko because the guy literally wants nothing from you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm trying to, and the Jankos, we all need, everybody in life, there's certain people, like you find it, when we're younger and we're dating a girl, and like, that could have been the one, but you effed up, you screwed up. Yeah. We all got that, right? You're younger, you got a friend, like, fuck. You had like a mentor, like, oh, dude, that, and then eventually like, dude, I'm not doing this again. I want that friend in my life. I will never F this one up. that girl, I'm not going to F this one up. I want that guy in my life to give me counsel. I'm always going to protect this. And I'm going to fear the man upstairs if I fear God, because all of this stuff can be taken away from me because I lost it all early. And I want that grace. I feel that level of wisdom, kindness, energy with him. I think he's a star, but I think he's about to be a superstar. I think he's going to be, I think 2024 he's going to have a good year, but I think 2025 for Janko is going to be skyrocketing. I
think by that point, you know, and I agree with you. I mean, he really crushed that interview, and I'm excited to see what he does next. And he told me some of his plans, but I think by that point we're all talking again. Like, dude, I don't do grudges.
I agree.
It's one thing that I do not do. And by the way, I never had a grudge. There was never a single, because I'll be honest, like watching from the outside, the internet is ripe with assumptions. It is one of the most infuriating things that you deal with having a platform. You guys all know this. You're well aware of this. Is this insane assumption engine and misinformation engine that just churns. And I've preferred, you know, at times to just say what you want. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to sit out here trying to correct y'all, because guess what? I can't. There's nothing I can say that's going to make you think otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think there was a lot of assumptions, and listen, like, things could have been handled very, very differently from all perspectives. No one was specifically at fault. There was things said out of anger by, I would say at some point or other, by every single one of the people involved. You know, like I said, I was more in the background of it, just trying to help facilitate a happy ending. But
from the camera side, behind closed doors, I have no. Like, let me give you an idea. Like today, a former competitor I used to be a part of, the company I used to be a part of 15 years ago, got a great experience there. Their main guy, who makes 10, 15 million a year, just left last week.
Yeah,
and it's well, you and I haven't even talked about this. You know, everyone's, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I heard this story. I heard Rico. I heard that. I'm like, listen, don't believe any of it. Rico. Just believe what's public and what you see. Everything else is a show. There's a guy that makes up so many stories about everybody, and 5 years later, everybody realizes he was full of shit. He's so good at convincing everybody. Some's going, I'm not going to mention who he is. He knows who he is. But the point is, hang on a second.
Yeah.
The point of the matter is this. Here's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is the following. I know nothing about behind closed doors, and it's none of my business. That's between the three of you guys. But the moment, you know, when you turn on the camera, like, for example, who's the guy that paid this other guy to have sex with his wife, and whatever that guy's name is?
Adam 22.
Okay, so who's this guy, right? The moment you choose to do that to get subscribers and eyeballs, you can never get upset about somebody asking you about that because you put it out there.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Who told you to do it? Don't do it. So if you don't want to be asked about it, you should have never done that clip. Yeah. If you don't want to be trolled about it, you should have never done that. Yeah. Why'd you do that publicly? You want to do it privately? Do your thing. I don't care if you want to do that privately, but then you're out there. For me, if I start talking politics and I'm talking shit, guess what? Who the hell am I to be upset if I go on the Bill Maher show and Bill Maher wants to fight me and go back and forth with me? I have my opinion. I risk being out there. But all I'm saying is the behind-the-scenes stuff is between the three of you, but the one front-facing the camera stuff, look, I mean, he was a little bit bullied by his friend. You know, Logan bullied him a little bit. Again, front. I'm not behind closed doors. I'm not off camera to see it. When you call somebody's faith out and you hear some things like that, that's tough to do. Now, again, I don't follow the whole thing closely to know who said this. Maybe Logan's already apologized. Maybe they've had I have no idea all the follow-ups. But all I know is when you're in the space, whatever the space is, and you see like those three guys running together, it's kind of cool, man. Those guys are doing a very good thing. You guys are doing your thing. Those guys doing their thing. You know, you're seeing like Andrew Schultz does his own show with the. Okay. I love it. I love those guys that got the cruise, right? Mm-hmm. It works. And that's all it is. I don't want to go any more into this story. I'd much rather fast forward and go into other stories. But I'll give you the final thoughts if you want to say anything about it, and we'll transition out.
I'm ready.
Anything else on this?
No,
okay.
I'm good.
All right, cool.
I just want a quick follow-up for you. This has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
You're in a precarious situation a lot of the times because there's a similar theme. We just talked about the George thing. We talked about the KSI. I mean, I've seen you on a situation where you're literally in between Jake and Logan. Like, come on, guys. You're like, hey, just sort of an innocent bystander here. Even with Tate, we know that Logan's had beef with with Tate. But at the end of the day, you're on Team Logan. Like, you're not gonna choose anybody over Logan.
No,
right?
no, fuck that, dude.
Really?
If he fucks up, and sorry for my cursing, if he messes up, no, of course
You have that kind of relationship?
100%. 100%. If you want to go back, listen, I've always had the like kind of nickname of being this yes man. Okay. If you go back and you see who has said no the most, there have been some opportunities that I've had that I didn't take because of legal ramifications, because of ongoing, things that were going on that were happening behind the scenes where I couldn't do it, whatever. But when he's off on a topic, me and him have had falling outs where we didn't talk for a month at a time because of things that I said about him on other people's podcasts that I didn't agree with stances that he had. No, I have that's the thing that people make the mistake of. I owe a large chunk of my career to Logan. I owe a large chunk of my success to him. He's a good friend of mine. But we are not. I don't eat off his plate. You know what I'm saying? I guess as it pertains to the podcast, we started the show together. We've done it all together. It was his star power that created the podcast. But I'm a separate person. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes mistakes and does things that do not involve me whatsoever. There's no decision making anymore these days that he makes that has my blessing, my discouragement, so on and so forth. So when all this stuff, when shit does hit the fan, which it inevitably will, when you have the biggest target on your back out of anyone on the planet besides maybe Tate, but there's a couple other people, right? There's going to be a lot of, as I said, misinformation, assumptions, so on and so forth. All I can do is just continue, being myself, being authentic to who I am. And then, there's plenty of instances of me calling him out. Plenty of instances. If people really wanted to research, they can go back to those episodes where that Christianity conversation happened. The episode with Bobby Lee, which was very controversial with George, and you'll see me either stand up for someone or stand against someone's opinion. I by no means will ever fold to someone else based on anything. If it's fake drama or wrestling stuff or fighting, then I'm going to take his side 100%.
And even on the Jake and Logan, when they had the beef, when I think Jake wanted to bring or the whole drink situation with Prime and the fight and everything with that. Yep. You're kind of stuck in the middle here.
Well, whose side did I lean towards?
Yeah, I think you were on Jake's side a little bit, right?
Correct. So it's like, and I'm on the side of right. That's what I prefer to be on in life. That is what I want to do. I wasn't always like that. Talk about a segue. That was not always my life. I was not always on the side of right, the side of empathy, the side of caring about other people and how they feel and how their day is going to go after you leave an imprint on them. That was not always me. I was a piece of shit. And now a big chunk of my life is devoted to, how can I continue to treat people well and stand up for injustices when I see them happening? It doesn't matter who's sitting next to me. I don't care who it is.
Mike, what's the biggest difference between Logan and Jake? Because mom and dad should be sitting there saying, is it the spirit of competition that they're so flipping competitive that they drive each other? Because it's a difference between Tate's dynamic when you see the two versus very different, right?
They complement each other.
Yeah. These guys look like absolute crazy psycho competitive. Is that a misread on how competitive they are?
No, they are. They both are. And I think the difference between them and the Tates is Tristan, I think, is like his brother, a very powerful, driven, opinionated person. But I think he is comfortable playing a complimentary role to the big bad Andrew Tate, character, and he's cool being Pippin. At least it seems like from the outside. I don't know if that's necessarily the case when you get close to them and have those behind the scenes conversations. These two were never going to be Jordan and Pippen. It's Jordan and Jordan or Jordan LeBron. They're not. They don't want. It's not a. I don't like you. They love each other. But damn, it seems like sometimes watching it, that competition can almost start to haze over what they really have, which is a brotherhood. I mean, they're freaking brothers. but the two guys are just so freaking driven, you know, to succeed.
But that's on the younger brother, because most younger brothers are going to sit there and be like, all right, that's my big bro. And by the way, you're spot on with Tristan. I mean, even if you see old fight footage of Andrew and Tristan was the corner man. He was the cut man, hyping him up. That's been his role. And by the way, Tristan, absolute stud. Gentlemen, we spent time with them. They're amazing. But I think there was something in Jake that he's like, nah, I'm not going to be the Robin to your Batman. I'm going to be freaking Superman myself.
Yeah.
And like there's something happened. And I know they grew up humble, wrestling, Ohio. So there must be some major competitive fires going on.
It comes from Greg, from the dad. You know, as their father is intensely competitive and talk about conservative, you know, like real deal, like backwoods, Ohio, like, you know, we'll kill
and he's super competitive.
Oh, yeah.
The father.
Oh, yeah.
And does he poke? Does he drive or not really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, there you go. Then that's...
he pushes
I think it's worked for them, meaning whatever Tristan and Andrew Tate are doing has worked for them.
Yep.
Especially now they're in jail. It's like teamwork, brotherhood.
Are they in jail right now?
When they were
funny,
with what they're going through now. When they were just in jail,
I think if you.
But these guys, what made them great, in my opinion, is they were both not settling for number two.
But I tell you, but that's exactly what it is, because, you know, the person that controls the two boys being united or competitive is the father.
Yeah.
Both things, what you have in common is a very strong father personality, right?
Yep.
Based on what you're talking about. And Emran and Greg, right? Now, yes, the best podcast would have been the two fathers, right? But I think his father passed away October 16, 2015. Can you check to see
Emery Tate,
when did he die?
Are you big with stats like that? Do you
I'm
like
big with dates. What day did he die? Let's see what day. October 15, 2017.
October 17.
I'm sorry, October 17, 2015. I was one day off. So when you think about fathers, here's what you'll notice, Adam. Okay, father on one side says, if you guys even fight each other, I'm the one that's going to come and do this. The other one is poking against. Right? They're both effective, but you know, one is going to lead to this, and the other one's going to lead to boom, 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 boom. Regardless, you're going to know both of them. You know, but even deep down inside. That only works if the boys have the psycho-competitive DNA wiring in them.
Yeah.
And I think all four of them got it. You know, Tristan, if you're around Tristan, Tristan's a very interesting guy.
He floats. He doesn't even touch though. He just.
Oh, does he? Is he actually able to levitate?
He's such a bro. He's so chill.
But Tristan is so chill.
And a big testament to, we were talking about brothers and the loyalty. Bro, when they came to get Andrew, Tristan wasn't arrested. He just was like, wherever my brother's going, I'm going with him. Yeah. Like literally was just like, they're like, no, you're not the rest. They're like, no, I'm going wherever my brother goes. And that's like the testament of.
So what are you saying, that Jake would just let Logan get arrested and he'd stay at home?
I don't know about that.
No, I don't think Jake would do that.
I feel like most. No, I
don't think Jake would do that.
Jake's not going to jail.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
He's not going. What do you mean?
No, let me. You guys got siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother.
Of course, yeah.
You guys going to jail with him?
I would.
No.
My brother, 100%.
No, dude. If you're going to jail with him,
the answer is no.
In that situation, if we're in a different country, and me and my brother are about to go into a freaking gulag, I'm going with my brother.
Well, yeah,
my brother knows that.
Yeah, if you're going into a Spartan fight, one of you has to come out.
One of you needs to stay out and get bail money, bro.
No. If me and my brother were in Tristan and Andrew's situation, and they're about to take me into it isn't America. We're in a different country. I'm 100% going with my brother. Hands down.
Yeah, see, so that's different. Yeah,
down.
I guess if you're in a place where like
they're in Romania, bro,
Yeah,
and the judge doesn't speak English, and the guards. I'm
Mike, if you get arrested, God forbid, in Miami, just call me. I'm not going to jail with you. I'll bail you out,
okay,
bro.
well, I'm going to call him instead, bro.
We'll go with you.
He's coming with
We'll go with you to jail.
By the way, let me.
I
don't think Jake would let anything happen to Logan.
I agree 100%.
I don't think Jake would let anything happen to Logan, and I think Logan, as an older brother, sometimes you'll test to see how much your brother can take, and I think he would jump in as well. But Andrew and Tristan, they're gangsters.
I love
It's
them.
a very different mindset. Mm-hmm. Okay, the mindset of a gangster is no one is going to come in between us. Anybody that's, again, like I remember we had and this is why we get along very easily. Like it was a natural connection we had. We're in the Army. It's me and my friend Jeff, white guy from Victorville, California. And we had a couple other guys. We had McElroy and it was mainly the three of us, right? We had a couple other guys, but it was mainly the three of us. If you even said one thing, listen, me and Jeff are at lunch, Chow Hall. We have a fight going on, him and I. We're full on fighting. We go afterwards to the gym where racquetball is being played. Two black girls are playing racquetball. We said, do you mind if we come in here real quick? Unless you guys want to play with us? We said, absolutely. No, I'm not even. I believe it. If he's listening to this, he will remind the story. I swear to God, he will tell you this.
Who's winning?
You went into the racquetball.
We went into the racquetball. We asked the girls to get out for 20 minutes. I swear to God.
I believe it.
What are you saying? So Bradford was, so we get,
this is
18 years old.
Bradford?
Bradford, yeah.
Whiskey Bradford?
Yes. So we get into a full-on fight, right? Guess what happens? We're both bleeding. We went to the gym. We worked out. Our friends came, and they're making fun of us. And then we fought them. Because we can do this to each other. You can't talk to us like this. Who do you think you are? You're not in the circle.
Yeah.
Don't even think about but that's the mindset of a gangster.
Yeah.
Gangsters are wired in a different way. The gangster model is, it happens in business. Like Trump is a gangster. It is certain basketball, like Michael Jordan was a gangster, right? Pat Riley is a gangster. It is a different mindset. You don't have to be politically on the same side. It's simply a way of thinking that if you, God forbid, are no longer loyal to me, if somebody screws you over, dude, we're rolling together. That's how we're rolling. It's
that's not, you don't see that very often in nowadays. That's a
I don't disagree.
That's a traditional thought process. Like I think back to my old lifestyle that is in the Fifth Vital, which you read, and I think back to a time where, dude, one cross word about you defended yourself half as hard as you defended your friends. If people can come up to you and say a bunch of shit, and you're just I'm not. I don't want to catch another felony tonight. But one wrong word about your boy who might be a little bit smaller, bro, we'll all die here. We could all fucking die here. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like that mentality exists. I always think of the movie The Town, which is one of my favorite movies.
God, Ben Affleck.
I know exactly what scene you're about to talk about.
He goes in like I can't tell you what we're doing.
I can't tell where we're going, but we're gonna hurt some people. You can never ask me about it again. And he doesn't hesitate. He goes, "Whose car are we taking?"
Just instantaneous.
Such
bro.
a great scene. You've seen it on Instagram a million times. Right?
Because when you think about it, a lot of times it comes down to what are the circumstances that you're up against as a team. Of course, Logan and Jake, from their respective $20 and $25 million mansions behind the gates of a gated community in Puerto Rico, might look at the circumstances that they're up against differently than the Tate brothers, who are facing other jailmates in a Romanian prison, right? Or what you were up against when you were in the army. I think conditions in a lot of ways dictate how you act as a human in this world.
No, I don't disagree. So now you're living in California, right? I want to read this. You just tweeted this, okay? California. And you said this about California. Now, Vinny and we've both lived I lived in California 20-some years.
Almost 17 years.
Okay, so here's how he paints California to be. You ready?
Mike.
California is the girl you love so much, but she's going to ruin your life if you don't get away.
Oh, damn.
Really sad, because it really is the most beautiful state, okay? Now, Mike, I've seen you also tweet, and you'll jump into chats and defend all sides, right?
Love the story.
Yeah, you'll defend the left, liberal, and what about this, and what about that, and you'll jump in Elon stuff. You'll jump in a bunch of people's stuff, right? But how do you say that California is like the left, the liberals' heaven on earth, where there's unicorns and there's like, that song? Remember that one dog unicorn, the never-ending story? That's California.
So let me ask you a
How do you
question.
say something like this about California?
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think I made that tweet? That tweet is exactly evidence of the California that you're describing.
Yeah.
I fell in love with California. I fell in love with that state. I mean, Dana White, one of the most, right-leaning, conservative, free speech, free think, anti-establishment people, will say that California is the most beautiful state in the country. The most, hands down, the most beautiful state in the country. I remember when I went there.
He also said that Miami is the new
well,
LA.
hold on a second.
Okay,
Let me get to that.
Go ahead.
But
By the way, they got to update that picture, Dana. I don't appreciate that.
Dana,
good.
not
That's
good.
a lie.
No, he's
By
way
the way,
better looking.
We're
than
getting
that.
on. Well, I'm going to call Wikipedia.
By the
like
way,
50 pounds ago.
I had dinner with Dana 2 nights ago in Vegas. He does not look like that.
Of course
No,
not.
He looks 10 years younger.
Does Wikipedia lean left yet? Because they're
Obviously.
Not the
right?
founder, but
right.
the current Wikipedia.
current one,
Yeah, but
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
Finish your story. You're
Your
saying
Wikipedia
so.
was great, by the way.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from it.
5'8" though.
Yeah.
5'8".
But I went out there for the first time, I think, in 2016, and was greeted by a coastline, by palm trees, by hills, by a environment that was alien to my eyes, that had been locked into a hell of an existence for a decade. And I saw this place that was creative, that was warm, that was just all encompassing of the dream that we have as creatives in this country. And I fell in love, and I said, I will at the very least live here, but I probably will die in this state. And because I so much fell in love with it. And
Where specifically?
with Los Angeles, with California in general. Mark Twain called Big Sur, he has this beautiful love story about Big Sur, and there's a lot of beautiful places in California, but LA in specific, I just really had found a home for myself there, and kind of, infamously bought this, $4+ million house there, a couple years ago, and just have been gung ho. Had been.
You showed your mom to the house, and she was in tears, emotional. Yeah, I remember that.
My mom's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Been through a lot. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't talked about this, but I have been, I can't get into too much detail, but I've been the victim of some crime in Los Angeles a number of times. This is completely not public. No one knows about it. I don't talk about it at all. But crime that is perpetrated by some of the most ass-backwards policies that could ever be fucking imagined. I mean, just disgusting catch-and-release policies that almost reward criminal behavior in a way that does not even begin to make sense. Like who... we'll get into this now that we're on to the serious topics in a second, hopefully. Similar to the situation at the border, who the fuck thinks that these policies make any sense? Disgusting. It used to be, I committed crimes. I had to go to court. I was on, a very short leash so that if I did anything wrong again, I was going to do a 5-year prison sentence. I was given a little bit of leniency by people who believed in me and put me into substance abuse programs and helped me along the way. But my crimes were not violent in nature. They were possession of drugs that I was using to harm myself. These people in Los Angeles and New York City and some of these other places, and well, yes, let's all agree, a lot of blue states. I'm happy to talk about policies in a solitary nature and discuss each policy.
It's important for people to hear the fact that you probably identify yourself as a blue yourself.
No, not. I've always been policy based. This is something I was so excited to talk to you about. The world is not black and white. If you subscribe 100% wholly to the right or the left in every single one of their policies, you're lying. You're lying to yourself. You're not being truthful to yourself, because there are policies that exist. There are thousands of policies, and you're telling me that someone on one side of the aisle has gotten all of them right, with the exception of none. Like, would you say that that's the case?
I'm fully there.
Okay. Yeah. Gray area. Yeah. There's a lot of factors involved with a lot of policies, how they exist, how they are put in action, how they're executed in states that are semi-blue, kind of red. There's so much meat there that to be able to say, I am this side or that side, which people do, which too many people are doing nowadays, is disgusting. I consider myself nowadays to be moderate right. That's just where I am.
But this has got to be very recent, though.
It's not. It's really not. It's a perception. It's a perception, a perception that exists because of my alignment with someone else. It is. And by the way, maybe even that is a miscalculation to assume that Logan is a liberal. Maybe in certain ways, but that's one of the issues that I've been up against on the internet, has been me being, in a way, defined by a relationship with someone else.
Okay.
We just spent 1 hour of this show talking about that person.
Right.
That's no disrespect. Yeah. It's a huge part of the storyline.
Yep.
But think about how much his actions have trickled off to make people believe they know me by way of who I'm friends and who I work with. Yes, your circle says something about you, but it certainly doesn't define you to a T. It just doesn't, right? People say you're a result of the 5 people you spend the most of your time around. Well, you got one of them. Are you going to take into consideration the other 4?
Yeah.
So
you know
who
what I'm saying?
influences you? Who influences your politics?
Honestly, I like to believe that a lot of it is driven through life, through personal experience, which is why I'm excited to be sitting down with some people who have that, and have a conversation with people who have probably been through a lot of things in their own lives. Mm-hmm. I think that you gain a lot of your own perspective in life through experience. The idea that you're going to be 22 years old and you're going to develop a set of bulletproof policy principles based on someone else's speech is crazy to me.
Yeah. Mike, can I ask you a question too, bro? So living in Cali, I was there for, Pat moved, you were in Dallas and then you came here, right, Pat? So I was there during the Trump thing, and as a stand-up, Mike, they locked everything down. If I even mentioned Trump on stage, and I'm not a political comedian, but once in a while I make something funny to try to don't talk about that. Comedy club owners like, yo, you can't be talking about this guy. What do you think because for me it was, dude, Trump, that was it. Like everybody just split right down the middle, and I didn't even know what left or right or anything was. So this cat came in. I swear to God, even as a military,
you're talking about Trump.
Trump came in, and then I swear to God, I didn't know what left or right was. And then I go, oh, okay. Now I see the split. What do you think was the shift for you where you were like, oh my God, like Cali's just going down? Because why would they incentivize? They defund the police. They tell people you could steal under $1,000. They're making these criminals. You yourself, you're basically saying that you're a victim. What was that shift, and why are they giving these criminals such a leeway to get out and keep doing this? There has to be a plan. What are they doing?
I don't know. That's my question. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I've heard obviously all of the different ideas around Soros and funding and blue states and what it does for the greater establishment, if you want to say that. But some of these policies seem so common sense. Okay, we had a mayoral race in Los Angeles. I'm sure you are familiar with Caruso versus,
of course. Oh yeah,
Karen.
A lot of people wanted Caruso.
I'm going to his house. Yeah. I'm going to, the founder of Netflix, was it? The CEO
Hoffman or Hastings?
Reed Hastings? Yeah, in Beverly Hills, hosting these things.
Right.
I'm looking around me. All of these people who seem to represent every working class, celebrity class, money class. I'm saying to myself, every single person is behind this guy because of how bad this city is right now. The homelessness, the crime.
Behind Caruso.
Everybody.
Right.
We were all there. I'm looking around me and I'm looking at the numbers start to creep up.
And by the way, left, right, center, they were behind Caruso. Caruso was one of those mayors that actually people from the left, even Hollywood, were kind of sick of it. We kind of like this guy. Yeah.
Because he was, I like to say that he was Trump without the theatrics, because you got to understand, you did a Twitter live the other day, and someone by the name of Good Logic jumped in. He was a speaker, and he said that he's hoping that Trump takes a more positive approach in his campaign this year, more positive, a little bit more relaxed in his visceral towards
the media and everybody,
ferociousness towards. Yeah. Everyone, right? Yeah. And I agree wholeheartedly. I think very similar to what I call Tate 2.0. He was so boisterous to a point with certain beliefs, with certain things that were meant to fire up a crowd to get them to kind of join and believe in him, that it got him in trouble to an extent that it shadowed all of the really positive stuff that he had to say to the young men of this world about working out, eating the right things, focusing on religion or whatever it was at the time. And I think, in a lot of ways, Trump really needs to look at the fact that he has a base that is locked in. 100%. He doesn't have to do the reporter thing anymore. He doesn't have to call people fat. He doesn't have to do that. In fact, I believe that's some of the stuff that works against him as he continues to try to garner the moderate right. Because listen, like he's got his side locked in. MAGA's ready to rock. They're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't need just the anti-establishment. He needs a good chunk of the establishment as well. And I think that the rhetoric calm down that Tate fashioned is important for Trump in this election as well, or at least will behoove and benefit him. And so why I say that is because Caruso, business owner, billionaire, owns the Grove, owns a bunch of commercial real estate, but was soft-spoken. I want to do this. I want to help these people. I have a plan. This is my plan. None of the bullshit. None of the you're fat, you're a whore, any of that type of shit. That's paraphrasing, right? But that type of visceral. Didn't do it. Didn't do it because I think he knew that, but now you look at the results and he lost. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know what the right thing was.
And I hear you saying this, and it's gonna. I mean, easier said than done. With all the stuff that they're doing to Trump since then to now, Mike, I see the reservation right now from him. He's kind of being cool, but dude, it's gonna be hard because the cheating, all the media stuff, what they're indicting him and everything, and he's still kicking ass. I'm hoping that what you're saying is that he just plays it cool because everybody's, why they're all scared. He's going to come in and shit on everybody, which in all fairness, he has, to me, the green light to do whatever the hell he wants to do in the sense that they've been doing nothing but trying to cheat and keep him out of office. A fair, duly elected dude, they started from 2016. It hasn't stopped, if you think about it. From Hillary Clinton to right now, today, in court, to this very day, it's anti-Trump. He's the evil, racist, this. And now we're hearing stories where what? Even Snoop Dogg now is going, you know what?
Them. I saw
what? He's actually a G.
I just think there's like, similarly to what we talked about with the situation with the show and how it played out, like looking back, there's just so many things that could have gone differently. Like I watched the Shapiro Destiny debate on Lex Friedman, which I think, did you see that?
I haven't seen it. He told me about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Lex Friedman, obviously incredible, just inquisitive, investigator and interviewer. Put these two guys down together for what I would consider to be one of the more just relaxed and respectful interviews that exist in the Politico space. Like just a really, very respectful, argument. And they had a full breakdown of J6 and the way that they both kind of agreed that just what that just wasn't a win, a game plan win for Trump and how that worked out. There were mistakes made. The courts that investigated it, all the investigations have led to absolutely no evidence that there was any kind of interference with the election or enough interference as claimed by the Trump camp to influence the outcome of the election. But then to say that there was an insurrection incitement on Trump was reaching too far. But I think everyone was in agreement there that it was not the best idea for him to claim that he had won that election. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that there was election interference?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what does that mean, though? So you got to unpack what election interference means.
Yeah. What do you mean by absolutely?
Yeah. I mean, what did the judge say the other day on what happened in Arizona? This many dead people counted for. Yeah. That many in court. And they're just kind of talking about
Congress,
it in Congress. Yeah. But, okay, let's go through levels of it, right? From the lowest to the highest. Lowest level. Every single person in mainstream media called him to be a Russian spy or Russian connected this, sponsored by Russia. Everything Hillary Clinton said that he was doing, she was doing. I mean, that's the gamesmanship of Hillary Clinton. You got to respect what she does, right? So the mainstream media played the role of selling him as the monster that he is. Number two, if you want to talk about election fraud, when the New York Post story came out with a Hunter Biden laptop, 50 of the highest ranking officials in CIA came out saying that this laptop story is fake. 50, they said this is fake.
But let me ask you a quick question, just to hop in for a sec. This is the part of the dialogue that, and also, I don't know how deep I want to get into this stuff because you made a point earlier. You didn't know or understand left versus right politics until Trump came 100%. Along, right? Do you ever wish we could go back? Do any of you guys ever wish we could go back? Do you ever wish we could go back to a time where we talked about the president of the United States on one day out of the year? Who'd you vote for today? Oh, dope, cool. Did you see the fucking Lakers Golden State game last night? That is one of the all-time classics. LeBron versus Steph Curry, to the death, free throws, three-pointers. You know, I'm your friend, you're my friend. I'm not saying policies, issues, the things that are affecting us are not the most important conversation.
The average person would agree with you. But I'm going to tell you a story. And I'm going to finish the thought as well when you ask a question about it.
No, it's all good.
So for me, the whole New York Post thing is you keep that story away from the people. Let me just write this down so I can tell you the story. So you keep that story from the people, and New York Post calls Twitter. Twitter doesn't put up, oh, shit, yeah, we're not going to put it up because of this, and it was going viral. And that could have been the difference on who you're going to vote. And then you bring these 50 CIA agents who are professional liars to say the fact that, yeah, you know, it's just a con job. It's not a real story. Then Kamala Harris first turns around and says, I would never do the vaccine with this much of research that took place, especially under a Trump administration. And when does the Pfizer vaccine come out that's ready? Or the Johnson & Johnson and Moderna? You know when? 2 days after election is over with. The number of timings that happened on when they launched the vaccine that was done by Trump, 2 days later on Thursday, they say the vaccine is ready. But let me go back to the question about, do you wish we could go back to XYZ? Okay, it's a very tricky question. The answer will be, what am I solving for? If I'm solving for pure, oblivious happiness, yes, 100%. I want to go back to it. But if I'm solving for life to be a man that defends and is able to fight for some people that maybe they can't, and God put certain things in my heart that I can't stop thinking about, and He allows you to use certain weapons and gifts to fight off the bullies, and you see that as a responsibility. No, I'm kind of glad I know about it, because for me, I'm not solving for the oblivious happiness. When I was a kid, when I say kid, I'm 22 years old. I had an uncle of mine. I've told this story to you before. I had an uncle of mine. His name Albert. Love this man till today. I've never met a human being happier than Albert. Never. And when I tell you I've never met a human being happier than Albert. I miss him so much. I love him so much. He's not doing well health-wise. I ask my dad every time, if anybody from Albert's family is seeing this, please share this with him. Albert Jan, I love you. Oh, this guy would give me $100 when our family did have a nickel to our name, his gift, and he was always so nice to me, always talking like I'm a grown man. He would build me up, and he's such a gentle guy, right? My dad told me this one day. Albert would come to the house on Sundays. If we were lucky, every other Sunday he'd come to the house. Well, my dad and I were roommates at 21 years old when I'm 21. This is after the Army. I'm just like a whole different life at this point. And he would come and he says, put in Kings of Comedy. And I would put Kings of Comedy. And he says, go to Bernie Mac. 2, 4, 6-year-old. Lord, come help me babysit these motherfuckers. You know that whole scene, right?
Yeah, of course.
I've seen that a few hundred times because of Albert. And he would sit there. And I would say, do you understand what they're saying?
Not at all, not one
Nothing
thing. Zero.
But I love this black man.
Oh my God.
My uncle loved Bernie Mac. And then one scene, this is a very important scene. He's over there sitting on the couch. The TV is there. Our living room, small 400 or 500 square foot apartment, right? This is the kitchen. There's a wall between the kitchen and there, and that's the fridge in the corner, right? And my dad comes, he says, Tiko Talacha. Come here, Patrick. He says, Albert Chagash. Look at him. Look how he's laughing.
Yeah.
You will never meet a happier man than this. He said, be careful reading all the books that you're reading because you will never have this.
Wow.
What a freaking thing to say. He said, be careful reading the books you read because you will never have this innocent happiness ever again. Because when you become too smart and you're reading constantly wanting to find out the different purpose of it's a curse.
Absolutely.
It's a double-edged sword.
Look at Lenny from Mice and Men.
Exactly.
That's right.
Those poor puppies.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'll never forgive him for what he did to that dog.
I had to read that in high school. But what's the moral of the story? The moral, to answer your question for you, if I'm solving for what I'm solving for all day long, I'm glad we're learning about it because they're showing their cards on how they want to control you and why they want to control you and why they want that kind of power over you and I. And it's actually a very interesting case study to look at the way they're doing it. And to me, I sit there and I say, okay, I actually think the last 4 years were terrible for establishment people. Because you know why? Because they thought they had it. It's done. This is their chance. Don't worry even if we're public about it right now. Go. Hurry up. Go. Shit broke. This broke. Oh, don't worry. Go. Shit, everything's breaking. Go. Shut up. Go. Oh, shit. We didn't make it.
Yep.
Now they know.
Yep.
What the hell do we do? I think that's what happened.
Oh, you mean that's where we are right now?
100.
Sure. No, for sure, dude. No one. Yeah, sorry.
And then, but Mike, and here's the thing, though, bro. They had a chance. There's 3 years. We're gonna go on forward. They had a chance to go, hey guys, this Trump racist, everything economy, blah blah. We're gonna show you. They had all this time, and just like you just nailed it. Everything is broken. There's leaks and shit everywhere. The ship is sinking, but they're like, no. Come on, open board. Everybody come here. And this is the thing, Mike, just to really fast interject. I am not saying ignorance is bliss, but to go back then, I think now that Trump, and dude, again, God chose this spray tanned, whatever guy, you're fired. He pulled open a curtain and he went, hey, everybody, look. And now there's no going back. The fake news, yes, he said it crazy because he's not a public speaker. He pulled open the curtain, showed everybody, hey guys, I'm sacrificing this all because his name is screwed. He's about to go to jail. He said, look at them. This is the people that I was cool with. The swamp that he was talking about, I turned on them, and now look at them showing their faces. And he did it. And I think he did it. He got in way too deep, way too fast, but now there's no turning back. That's it.
I don't know. I just don't have that level of trust in anybody. Like even like you talk about like anti-establishment, right? Like he's got nicks in his armor on anti-establishment as well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know the vaccine, Trump, the vaccine case for him was yeah.
Well, do you know how I do anti-establishment?
How?
Very simple. Give everybody a score.
Right.
For example, you know how Andrew Cuomo.
Right.
I said this 4 years ago. The DeSantis people keep putting you back up because they're like, I can't believe you're supporting. You said this about Andrew Cuomo.
Right.
Let me say it to you again, to the DeSantis community, whom I love dearly. Ready? I said it 4 years ago. I said Andrew Cuomo may be the best candidate for president Democrats have. I still stand by that because to me, Andrew Cuomo is an anti-establishment Democrat. That's why the establishment Democrat hates Andrew Cuomo. They can't stand him because they can't use him. Yeah. See, the establishment to me with Trump, you go into Trump. Okay. Score Trump as establishment, anti-establishment. Because we can score everybody. Like if we score Biden, he's 100% establishment, right? 100%. Okay, you go to Newsom. Newsom is establishment, right? Mitch McConnell, establishment, 100%. Right? You go to all of these guys, you can score them. You can go to Andrew Cuomo, maybe different kind of establishment, right? You put him at a 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30. Trump, of course there's 10-20% establishment, but it's 80% anti-establishment.
Can I ask you one question about that? When you say anti-establishment, it's almost weird because to be on, okay, like the right side is obviously pro small government, right? To be on the right, you don't want the government in your business, right? But to be on the right, you also have to be a believer in the original form of establishment, which is the Constitution of the United States of America. Do you not feel like the Constitution in some way contributes to what at least ended up becoming the establishment?
Yeah, but the Constitution was to protect you and I. Like, what was the purpose of you having freedom of speech? So you can say whatever you want to do to protect the people. Second Amendment was to protect who? We, the people. Freedom of press was to protect who? Everything is to protect you and I. So the concept is the collective and the individual, right? Is pump up the collective. But at the same time, you better make sure you recognize the individual. We've gone all here. We don't recognize the individual anymore. We demonize the individual. Trump's a bad man. Elon Musk, bad man. These people are bad people. These billionaires are bad people, right? The establishment has got a very different thought pattern than you and I do. The establishment doesn't want you and I to think for ourselves. The establishment doesn't want ideas being challenged. The establishment wants to make you and I look here and get distracted from what's really going on here. On the most unique days, they'll pass a bill or a law that nobody's paying attention to it. This isn't the Constitution isn't the establishment. The Constitution was actually built to fight against the establishment that they were experiencing to
protect from.
Of course, what we had before. That's the whole concept of what was created.
I think the perfect analogy is what you talk about in the book, The Barbarians, the Bureaucrats.
Yeah.
The establishment is the bureaucracy. It's the red tape, basically. It's the institutional, not the institution. It's how does it go in the Barbarians? It's the visionaries, the George Washingtons of the world.
The prophet, the barbarians, the builder explorer, the administrator, the barbarian, the bureaucrats, and a sinner just brings it all together.
And you bring up a good point with the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. That's great. That's the framework for what we're talking about today. But then they add the pork and the bellies and the bullshit and the bureaucracy and everything on that.
Yeah.
But let me go
you
back
see what's
to you.
going on in California.
Let me go back
how
to
much
you.
red tape does
I'm
it
glad
take?
you went there.
Right. Yeah.
So are you at a point where you're willing to leave her, California?
Yeah, I mean, I got to get out from under a $4.5 million house in a soft market because of rates.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so that's going to take a minute. But yeah, I'll come to Florida.
Okay.
My girlfriend's here. I mean, I'll go to Texas. I love a lot of people in Texas. I'll go to a state. You know what? Honestly, I think as you whether you make money or don't make money, as you age, you start to put a price on feeling safe. I say that like it's a novel idea, but feeling safe. Yeah. Dude, Los Angeles is fucking horrible.
You know what that means?
It is insane, bro. I would not. My mom's coming there. I have LAPD at the house. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be there the whole time she's there.
So Mike,
you know what I'm saying?
Is that crazy that you have to do that?
The whole time she's there.
I'm the only one who has never lived in LA. I mean, I've been out there sort of a little vacations, a little bit. I'm a Miami guy.
Crazy.
Rank in order, especially since you've made money. You came from Connecticut. You was broke. You didn't have any money. You came to LA. Rank the order in which why you're leaving: taxes, homelessness, crime, regulation. But what is it? Because I hear everything and everything.
What's
about
top
California.
three, Mikey?
You want to know? You want to know what's weird about it? Because of the things that I come from and the things that I went through in my life, I have empathy for situations and policies in different perspectives than other people might. When it comes to something like homelessness, it's almost hard for me to be angry about that because of how I feel for these people. Many of them veterans of this country, many of them brothers, sisters, people who have fallen victim to substance abuse, people who have been screwed over by the system because of lack of resources in this country. And so for me to say, oh, that's such an eyesore. Oh, it's such an eyesore. And they're so like, that couldn't be me because that was me. That was me. That was you. You know what I'm saying? To an extent,
totally
right?
Like, yeah.
So that one's always been tough for me because like for me, it's softness on crime is got to be number one. What are we doing? Fuck that. Softness on violent crime. What are we doing? What is the point of being soft on violent criminals? That has to be the most spit in the face to a positive culture and environment that could ever exist. What are we doing? What is the point of that? Of saying, okay, this person just went and violently assaulted a woman or anyone, and he is going to come in, he's going to fill out a piece of paperwork and leave the police station.
Insane.
Disgusting.
With no bail, with no bond, and no promise to he's just gone, right? Like ridiculous. That's insane. Number two has got to be taxes, because let me tell you what's worse than paying the country's highest tax rate, which I do.
Yep.
City by city. I pay 39% federal, I pay 13% state, and I pay 1% Los Angeles city tax. I am in the highest tax bracket that exists in this nation. Okay,
so you're 14%.
So half your money's gone.
Gone. Let me tell you what sucks.
More than half.
Let me tell you what sucks worse than paying that tax percentage. Paying it and not seeing anything fucking happen as a result of it. You look around you, everything is broken. All the stores are boarded up. All the people are. Now we get into the homeless thing. We're not doing anything. We're not making advances in mental illness assistance and substance coverage in homing for these people. So number two would be taxes, and number three would just be, I think one and two covers it. I mean, it's like, what else do you need to say when you're being betrayed by the people, by the people that you put in charge?
You ask a great question to kind of make one thing, right, on why you're leaving, and you kind of having to sit there and kind of go through the process. But, I ordered a book one time. We're playing this game with our crew, our guys. I want them to think about, in the insurance business, you're building your own office. Well, I want you to read this book of the month, How to Build Your Own Country. Build your own country? Yeah. You build your own country. How do you build it? I never thought about starting my own country. Okay, well, now do. Go think about it. What is the most important thing? That's the book, by the way, right there. It was a kid's book. What's the most important thing? Seriously, that's the book. It's a really good book.
That's the same book Newsom read when he tried to design California. So, please don't come to my house. Leave me the fuck alone.
But now you can never leave California after what you just said. But so you read this and you think about who is the most important person to decide what country the family is going to move to?
By far and away, it's the kids. It's the mother feeling
the mother,
exactly.
Which is what word? It's a one word. It starts with
safety.
the letter S.
It's safety.
Safety and security.
Am I going to be safe?
And by the way, look what he's saying though.
I know.
He's saying, Mom's got to come over. She best feel safe. I'm with my girl. I better feel safe. Jen and I, we move into our first house after we get married. A couple months after we get married, we moved to this house off of Encino Boulevard, whatever it was, off of Balboa and Northridge, down the street from our office. Okay. Okay. Got a Range Rover. I parked the car outside. We're having our first kid. Guy breaks into my car, takes my, what do you call it, backpack, everything that I have, system, stereo, everything. Brand new Range Rover, takes it. Okay. All right, let's go buy a bunch of guns. I'm a military guy, so guess what? I'm good. Let's go buy a bunch of guns. We go buy a bunch of guns. You got to wait a month. No problem. All right, cool. Come to the house. Great. Then I'm sitting there saying, so let me get this straight. A guy is this close to the front door and there is no guy at the gate. Yeah, I'm not good with this. So we got to go to a different place. So then I go find a gated community. We move instantly because when I'm on the road, you can't come mess with my family. It's just, the natural DNA, the wiring we have. And when do you have kids? I don't. When you have kids, life changes in a very weird way, very weird way. And like right now, I'm texting my wife because 2 of my kids are not feeling well. So I'm like here, but I'm also checking to see how they're doing. Yeah. I stopped by, sent out today to just go check on her before I went to a meeting at the house, just checking on the family. They're good, but, father thinks that way. We go into the gated community, secure. We come here, security. Everything like number one, just to simplify it. You can list 50 different things, but it starts off with security. But here's to go off with where you're at. Because I think you asked the question because I think you have one thing in your mind that you're not ready for, but you know that decision is coming in about 9.5 months. And let me tell you what that decision is. You ready? It's a beautiful decision. There's this month in 2024. It's going to be the first Tuesday of this month. I think it's November, right?
I love that month.
So this.
What is it gonna do for the city? No, please answer this. What is it gonna do?
What's gonna do for the city?
What is the vote gonna do?
Oh,
for
a
the
lot,
city?
bro.
How? Because listen, this is not new.
Yeah.
This is not federal policy.
Yeah.
This didn't just start 3 years ago, 4 years ago. This has been going on.
But
there's been a robbery crew going on. There's been a murder crew going on. So that putting someone else, that's the thing. We talk constantly, and this isn't wrong. And is it wrong? This is what I asked you earlier. It's not wrong to have this discussion, but why are we not having conversations about local policies? Why are we not, as a collective in this country? Because it's become celebritized. Trump has become, and Biden has become a meme, and people are not having enough conversations around what is happening in their community.
But
we have become hyper focused on national and global geopolitics, and everybody wants to be an expert on what's going on in Gaza, but people aren't saying, "Holy shit, the person I voted into office is a fucking asshole."
For sure, you're
in
right.
my city.
But by the way, so one can do both, right? And
for sure.
For us, like the perspective I look at it is one. I see myself that wherever I go, I want to improve it. It doesn't matter where I go. I don't care where I go. I'm in the insurance industry. I want to improve it. Yeah. The insurance industry changed my life. So we have one meeting every year. That is my favorite meeting every year. I started this meeting in 2015, and every year in December, first week of December, I bring the CEOs and the top executives of the biggest life insurance companies They come, and I call it the carrier meeting. Typically, they spoil us. This is my chance to spoil. No one in the marketplace does this but us. And they all say, Pat's the only person that can bring all his girlfriends in the same room, and we all get along. Because they're all competitors. They can't stand each other market-wise. Now we're all friends. Mm-hmm. And I say, this industry changed my life. I owe back to the industry because it changed my life. Okay. Whether it comes down to state, military, country, America, it doesn't matter what it is. America changed my life. And your vote matters a lot because people listen to you. Why do they listen to you? So sometimes we think the people have the most influence or the governors or the senators or that big famous guy that went to Harvard. No, sometimes the people that have the most influence are just regular guys that are like, dude, what is going on here, right? What is going on here? And to me, a part of it is right now specifically, like you can change the city you're living in, right? But imagine if you knew, when did you move? You said 2016, first time you went to California, right? But when did you bought the house in 2020 or 2022?
2021.
2021. Okay. When did you live in California?
2022.
Oh, really? You lived in California in 2020?
No. I moved to California in 2018.
Okay, but then you bought the house in 2022.
2022.
Okay. So 2018 when you moved, if in the 2 incidents you had that nobody knows about, you've never publicly talked about it, right? 3 incidents. Okay. If somebody told you that would have happened, would you have bought the house in California? Would you have moved to California?
I don't know if I would have even believed it. To be completely, I probably would have waited and touched the burner.
I agree with you.
What I'm saying?
By the way, how many? Your answer. How many people in America do you think are in your situation? That's saying there's no way in the world that's true.
I would assume most.
Most of them. Yeah. Do you agree? Because I agree.
Yeah.
I think most people are there. So what happens to a person like you is, dude, trust me, never in a million years did I believe any of this stuff. But I went through it. And here's what it was like. He's saying it? What? There's no way that would have came from you. So for you to say what you said, 2024 November, the one thing we can do every November is vote. You have options. You have Trump on one side, Biden's on the other side. What are you doing?
I'm not even looking at people. I'm voting on policies.
Okay.
At this point, I don't want to even see a face. And right now, I don't like how a lot of the only thing I will say is maybe it's just all smoke and mirrors, but the economy is the market at least is doing well.
Yeah.
The market's let's be honest.
It just reached an
all-time high.
Sure, of course.
The market's doing well. I believe joblessness is also down.
Unemployment is, I think, at 3.5%.
Right.
People think inflation's still at 10%. It's at 3%.
So it's like
there's a difference between Main Street and Wall Street, though, Mike.
And for sure, like I said, smoke and mirrors. But I think we all just need to be a little bit more. I just hate pigeonholes. I think we've all become, maybe not everyone here, but like a good majority of the country have become pigeonholed into this belief that there's a savior in the form of a candidate and everything's black and white and there's no gray area or let's take a little bit of this, or I just want what works. And I'll tell you what, this year is not going to be the case. I can already tell. When we look back 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and we like we do now, we look back at Lincoln, or we look back at Washington, or we look back at Eisenhower,
Reagan,
right?
all these guys,
like any of these people that were the ones, bro, or an anti-establishment guy, JFK, whatever, right? Like as we look back and we look at these heartbeats, right, these drum beats of American exceptionalism as it pertains to presidency, right? In my eyes, and it won't be in this election, the president from this realm, in this area, will be the uniter, not the breaker, because we're not close. It's not like it's an 80-20 thing. We have two sides of this country. Mm-hmm. We have a divisive 50-50, 49-51, 48-52 split. And guess what? There ain't no hope in sight. There's no hope in sight. Trump is not going to come into office and unite the aisles. Biden sure as hell is not going to even unite what he's eating for lunch the next day. It's not going to fucking happen, okay? In my eyes, I want a candidate who says, I am so sick of this divisiveness that I'm going to put it to an end, okay? This country as a political player has become a basketball game where there are two teams who are intent on blocking each other's shots. Neither wants to score. The only thing they want to make sure is that the other team doesn't score. Block the bill, block the bill, block the bill, block the bill. We are in a handicapped, disabled, paralyzed government that is one side versus the other side. And in my eyes, the person that comes along that will be remembered anytime soon will be the uniter, not the breaker. Is it going to be PBD? Who is going to come up and say, yo, you know what? Enough is enough. Stop your little bickering bullshit. I'm anti this, you're anti that. Screw you, screw you. Learn how to work together. You want to be the head of a business? You've grown multiple businesses to hundreds of millions of dollars. If you saw a disagreement between your top players, you're not going to pick a side. You're going to say, yo, learn how to work together or you're out. That's it. There's no more bullshit. Learn to work together. This is our team. We're on the same mission, and we're all going the same place, whether you like it or not. If you can't get with it, then get the fuck out. Because we have so much division in this country, so many people that just want to see the other side lose, and it has to stop.
No,
that's my belief.
By the way, so that's what Adam was talking about on the different stages we go through. And look at what Dana White does. Here's the UFC. He said, hey, did you hear about the tonality with the racism that just took place? About what racism? Well, Israel said this, and he used the N-word. He's black. Well, he said this. What are we talking? I said, let me get this straight. Are people on the left complaining and bitching? Yeah, I bet they would. They probably would. But and you're like, oh shit. How do you disarm? Like, you have a leash on this. What leash? What are we talking? So Dana does that with the sport, and that's why he does so well. And you got some sports that they're caving. But the reality part of it is the following. Different times will give birth to different types of leaders. You said something about a savior, like we're all waiting for a savior to come, right? Well, I mean, if you're a man of faith, your savior is not you already have it, and you're not relying on another human beings to do that.
He's coming back also.
So you're sitting there, you're kind of like, faith, here's where I'm at. This is where I'm banking. I'm banking on, where I'm at with my faith. Great. But let's talk about the leadership side. I also think in everything, the temperature also decreases when the right leader shows up and you no longer worry about certain things. I'm talking to Bill Maher, and I said, Bill, I've never been to your studio before. Okay, I've never been to, what is it called? It's called...
Rob, what's it called?
Which one? Club Random?
Club Random. By the way.
You never been on his show?
I was on the show last
week. Oh, yeah,
so
okay.
I'm in Club Random, and I'm looking around, I'm like, dude, a freaking sick set. Mm-hmm. First of all, his house is insane. 5 acres and Hollywood Hills, all this stuff. But I'm like, that couch to me is a colorful couch. I've never seen a colorful couch like this. This picture here, the Pizza Man thing, the movie thing, the bar over there. You go to the back with the engineers. He's got the Trump stuff there. He's got the Obama stuff. He's got the George Bush toilet paper. He's got all this weird stuff in there, right? But let me tell you, pool table in the middle, cool. I said, for me, I came here, everything here is new. For you, everything here you've already seen, so you don't look at it anymore. It's called the law of familiarity. It's a law, right? It's very normal. This is why a husband and wife are married. It's my wife. It's my old girl. It's my, right? Yeah. It's just this, it's that, and it's just my dad, and then your dad passes away. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just my mom, and oh shit. Oh, it's just what the dude? What? So for me, when you have a leader in house that puts the fear into the enemy, where no war is started under him for 4 years, and he was supposed to start World War III, and then he's gone, and the first thing you think about is security. You're thinking about it from the state standpoint, but in your country, you got Afghanistan, you got Ukraine, you got Russia, you got Israel, you got Hamas,
Syria,
you got Gaza, now you got Iran, now you got all this stuff with Houthis. Now, 3 soldiers get killed by Iran. All this stuff is happening. First thing you say is, dude, the temperature's... What happened to the other guy we kind of didn't like at all? Where is that guy?
Tweets.
Where's that guy? Where's that? And by the way, FYI, this guy's he's not at all Trump, just so you know that.
Right.
He's not. So, but when you sit there and you kind of go through this process, then you're like, Okay, so maybe there's somebody that can come and lower the temperature today. Is he going to be the guy that's going to be the biggest synergist and do that? It's probably not going to be in his profile because anything you say to him, he has to respond back immediately. Just kind of what his DNA is. But maybe there's going to be somebody else that comes next or
where are they?
The synergist?
Yeah, because like even just in the way that people communicate.
Yeah.
It's important to communicate like you are, once again, back to you as a business leader. You make sure that the way that you communicate with people, even if you dislike them at any certain time, even if you don't feel well about them, you're either going to speak with them with respect or you're going to get rid of them, right? But for the most part, you approach your conversations with empathy and respect, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Always. And I feel like that as a table stake has been lost on both sides, to be honest. I feel like, I don't know, the way the government looks right now from my side, on both sides, is kind of embarrassing. I'm sorry. I think it's just embarrassing. I think people are behaving childishly. I don't think they're looking at the big purpose. When we go to war, you say, the first thing I'm probably thinking is, where's the last guy that we had? The first thing I'm thinking was, damn, I wish the rest of the people in my country were united. That's what I'm thinking. I'm saying to myself, damn, I wish my brother and the neighbor next to him were saying, I can't wait to go to war with you. I'll die for this country. Because guess what? They're not saying that. They're saying, fuck you. I'm not going to war with this guy. I don't want to be. I don't like this guy.
Who did that, though? So who did that?
Well, listen, as he said earlier, he never thought about right versus left. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anyone's to fucking blame. But I will tell you this, because I know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm assuming you're going to say that divisiveness started with Obama. Right? I don't know. Where do you think that started?
Let me give my side. Although a lot of people would say Obama,
I know,
but that's not where I'm going to go. Here's where I'm going to go. So for me, when you think about that whole, division of people arguing from one side to the other, hey, my brother with me, hey, we're going to be together. When 9/11 happened, that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened.
True.
Nobody gave a shit. Like nobody even thought about politics.
Nope. But it also wasn't. We didn't have the political arena that we have right now.
But hear me.
At the time.
You're right. So what was the difference between today and 2001? There was no social media. There was no immediate reaction. There wasn't
freaking TikTok and China indoctrinating our youth.
But also think about it. There wasn't 5,000 small CNNs and Fox. You realize there is 5,000 CNNs and Foxes today.
But you can't say that that's not a good thing, because then that would be anti-free speech.
But that goes back to my point. If I'm solving from being a oblivious, happy person, yes. But I'm glad I'm not, because I'm not solving for that. What I will tell you kind of messed the whole thing up. This time when 9/11 happened, when COVID happened, everything was Trump's fault. It was all here. We couldn't. All mainstream had to do. Mainstream is not controlled by the right. Zero. It's all left. All mainstream media had to do was unite behind China being the enemy. They couldn't do it. Yeah. And by the way, you know what they all agree on now? Left and right? China is the enemy.
Yes, but can't hold them accountable.
But they couldn't do it 4 years ago.
But do we also agree? Do we also? Let me pose this question: when did we also get kind of soft on Russia not being
what?
The enemy? Like for example, like my mom grew up hiding under her desk in drills, waiting for a Russian attack on U.S. soil.
How old was your mom, though? That was in
1960s.
That was in the 50s and 60s.
Of course, she did the right thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what.
By the way, all of our people.
No. I understand that, but like. Do we look at Russia the same way that we look at China,
Because
we should.
That's
what I'm saying. Like we have
Russia.
But Russia didn't do anything for 4 years. I mean, obviously overall threat.
Yeah.
But for those 4 years, absolutely nothing happened. But then Biden comes in and he literally looks at a camera and says, "If Russia wants to do a minor incursion in Ukraine, I'm fine with it." That's inviting a war to happen. That's
stupid.
I agree, but I think Mike's point is Russia's not our ally. Let's not pretend
I don't know how we got there. It seems
or this admiration for Putin.
I wouldn't say admiration, but when you have a leader that's like, listen, why am I going to start shit with somebody? Why can't I just be cool with everybody? Because let's not get it twisted.
That's not Putin's MO.
But what I'm saying, but guys, let's just be real. Putin's he murders and he's a crazy killer. Let's not forget that we had a president Bush Jr. that started an illegal bullshit war, weapons of mass destruction, and we killed millions. We're evil, they're evil, but they weren't doing shit when Trump was there.
But let's answer that question. Let's address that question with Russia. Ahead. Mike, look at it this way, okay? Look at it this way. Who was the Chiefs' #1 enemy yesterday?
The Niners.
Yesterday.
I mean,
yesterday.
The Ravens.
The Ravens. Who's their enemy today?
The Niners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the Niners' #1 enemy yesterday?
Detroit.
Who's their enemy today? The Chiefs. Okay. Meaning, when COVID happened, your #1 enemy is who you're facing today, which is China. And we couldn't do that. That doesn't discount the enemy we went up against before. Of course, that person's an enemy.
No,
as
but
well.
I know. But it seems like the lens for enemies has shifted on both sides. Like it seems like, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's been some softness from the left towards China, but I also think that there's been softness from the right towards Russia. This is one of those things that, once again, first of all, that I'm definitely not qualified to speak about, but to me, becomes something that is gray area and invites the question that I asked once again back to Lenny from Mice and Men.
Yeah.
Where are we going with all this? You asked me a question. Where's my vote going? I have certainly started to lean more towards the conservative side. And I prefer to just take the faces and the icons and the celebrities out of it and be like, dude, what policies do we need here to save the sport of women racing to be just women, or for like people who beat the fuck out of people to not just get out of jail, or you know what I'm saying, like some of these things, or for the border to be protected.
Do you want to have kids?
Yes, I would like to.
Wait till you have kids. Wait till you have
slow
kids.
down. I know it'll be even more.
No, because when you don't have kids, you're naturally not concerned about everything. Like, dude, who gives a shit about that? Yeah, because you don't have any kids.
Right.
The moment you have kids, dude, what do you think? What happened to you in 3 years, huh? Hey, no, I've always been like this. No, you haven't. Like, I've not always been like this.
Yeah.
Things change as life also changes for you. Now, but for me, what you're saying is, this best part is following. Best part is when you start asking the right questions in life. That's how it starts. So you first ask the right question, and then the other part is on you to be curious to go find the answers to the question. That's how it starts. You know, why get married? Why shouldn't I just stay single? Okay, that's good. You're asking a question to go through, like I would ask the question, why have kids? And you're like, oh, dude, why would I want to do this? Why don't you're going through the process of wanting to do your due diligence, but you're already there. You know, for me, right now with where we're at, you know, with America, when you're saying Republicans are not defending Russia and all this other stuff, I think in sales, you go to a client's house. Most people who have never been in sales, they think sales is about making the most incredible presentation. It is a part of it, but very small part of the sale. A great salesperson asks the right questions.
Finds the hole to fill.
When you ask the right question, you cause the client, an individual, to think, and then they already close themselves because you asked the right question. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you talked about Russia. Trump asked a question no one's ever asked. He said, why is there still a NATO?
Wait.
U.S. or Soviet.
Well, I thought it was to create an allegiance between like-minded countries to band together in the face of imperial evil.
No, if you go look up the history of NATO,
right.
it's purely against the Soviet Union.
Yeah, but it was originally a post World War II, not a Cold War initiative.
If you go look up like what the purpose of
when was NATO founded?
If 49.
49. So that's I guess technically anything post WW2
end of World War II.
Yeah, but it was an alliance so that we could band together with the same people we just fought alongside against the most evil fucking people in
the point is,
it world.
Was so now those guys are no longer around. Germany doesn't have the military they had. They used to have a bunch of tanks. Now they're lucky if they have a couple tanks. Nobody in Europe, except for 2 or 3 countries, invest in their military. Nobody does. Right. Why would they? They don't need to do it.
So NATO is just piggybacking off of us.
We are fun. So the moment when he asked the question, you're like, oh, shit.
It is a good question.
We've not asked that question, right? So then, guess who has the whole, military-industrial complex. Guess who has it? Russia has it.
Of course.
What does Russia do with their military? You know what Ukraine's going through right now? They can't get their weapons anymore. They no longer can build those missiles anymore. Russia's used to pump out 40 missiles. Now they're doing 100 because they can afford to do it. So what happens now? Now NATO is relying on us. Like, oh, no one's going to touch us because America's got our back. We're putting the most money. Why are we putting the most money? We got an entire ocean of water separate. That's your threat. That's your problem, bro. Make your marriage work. Let me try to fix my marriage here. America's already trying to almost be divided. Let me keep my husband and wife together.
We're divorced.
No. We have a million deaths to overdose in the past 20 years. We have 130 to 150,000 people dying a year to overdose. We have veterans living under bridges because they can't get mental health assistance. We have homeless people. The country's a fucking mess. Forget the division for a second. We have real issues.
You're right.
That exists outside of my sentiment versus my neighbors.
You just nailed why America first is key.
And I get that, but here, take it even one more layer deep than just being able to ask a question. The even deeper question is, why the fuck am I having to ask this question? Who are these people that are running this?
Easy
That's
answer.
the question.
You know what the answer is to that?
Corporations.
No, the easy answer to it is because most people think the way you think. And I love how you're just straight up, like you said, I just want to come and have the conversation. You're talking about the Twitter spaces I did right after DeSantis, right? That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
hey, I got it. So most people...
Very informative.
Yeah, most people are like, dude, I don't want to freaking have all these fights over politics. Can I just talk about the game? Like, guys, what do you think? You think this game is set up and the Super Bowl is going to be all about Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift, Chiefs are going to win it? Most people want to have that conversation. Most people want to say, do you think Mahomes is better than Tom Brady? If he wins this is 4-6. Is he better than? Is the conversation already there? Should we already start debating this? That's what most people want to have.
I just want to know if you guys want to be cryogenically frozen. Like I'm even further. And I wish this wasn't the case, but it is important.
But the point to say to what you're saying, the point is, the fact that why did it even get to the point of asking this question, and why didn't we already know? Because we've been brainwashed into not asking these questions through our educational system and the teachers and all that stuff. For every 13 professor on the left, one is on the right. 98% of, I told this to Bill Maher, and he says that's a big problem. 98% of English teachers in high school donate to the left. 2% give to the right. 97% of science teachers give to the left. Only 3 give to the right. And 87% of math teachers give to the left, 13%.
Is that new? Because that's the other thing too nowadays is like how much of this is like new stuff versus how much of this is just a further elevation of discussion of stuff that's been happening. Like, for example, like Establishment, bro, there's a movie called 1984. Like all of that stuff, this has been 40 years in the making. Like have teachers have always been liberal. Liberalism is a portion of you're right. Not always. But as of the past,
you're right. But it's
40
just
plus years.
But it's just
teachers
not,
have been progressive.
It's just not this extreme. And unions have never been this intentional in using these blocks as voting blocks. Like the other day, who said the other day they're voting for they endorse Biden? Which union was it? United Auto Workers, Rob? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, it's over because the United Auto Workers. Dude, the power of what unions are doing nowadays, those are voting blocks. There's a lot of different things that's going on. Some of it hasn't changed. Some of it has. But the simple thing is access to social media is getting us to get more connected and ask the questions we've not asked before.
Yeah, I agree. And then, Mike, going to remember, because you said that the presidency is one thing, but the local, if you think, just look at the worst blues. L.A., right? Chicago's horrible.
Yep.
New York, forget it. The homeless, not the homeless, the illegals that they are bringing in, that the mayor was like, Adam was like, come in. They're not only shitting in the street, they're banging on people's houses and asking for money. So again,
they're not all brought in by New York, by the way. Some are shipped there as a lesson to be learned.
No, not even lesson, as a lesson, aka if you guys want to talk the talk, start taking some of these people like what they did to Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
Well, my thing is, Mike, how like these places like LA and Newsom and all these. Why do people keep voting for these people? That's because at the end of the day, that's it. I get it. You're the blue state, but bro, they tried to recall Newsom. Well, Larry Elder didn't have a chance, but it's like the people. It comes down to, Mike, your attitude, that sentiment, that attitude, bro. People have to take a stand. It's like, when is enough going to be enough? And people are going to just sit there and complain. Look what they're doing in France. Those farmers and shit, they're filling up tractors with manure and going to... That's what I'm talking about. It's this. We can do this all day, but I love that you were like, it's local. The big wigs, they're going to do what they're going to do. The local people, if you keep voting for people that are shitting, Newsom... Bro, just look at what California is, and that guy's going to try to run for presidency, and people will fucking vote for him.
No.
But Mikey, people will vote for that guy because he's not the other guy. For Newsom.
Oh, yeah.
Newsom would be a great freaking thing for the left.
He's on the list, right?
He's on the top 5.
By the way, Vegas odds right now, number 3 is Michelle Obama.
That would be...
Michelle with him. Michelle and him.
Okay. This is an interesting thing. Can I ask you a couple odd questions? All right. Even going even more like local than just your city, like go to yourself, right? Social media has been a great weapon for conversation, but it's also been an incredibly weird weapon for misinformation. And I think one of the greatest ammos we had for our personal weapon of change has been fact, has been information. If you come to the table with information, you can make informed decisions and have informed conversations. Unfortunately, nowadays, finding information that is deemed or that you deem to be good information I don't think it's ever been harder. I just think there's so much shit out there. And even to say I rely on this engine or that engine is you got to do or have a researcher that's helping you disseminate and figure out what information is actually true, right? Do you think that Michelle Obama's a man? Like how far are you willing to go on these on this swinging type shit? Because
what swinging?
No, not that type.
You said it.
Not that type.
I'm down.
You said swinging. I'm like, where's it going?
Because dude, I just it angers me, and I think it also does a disservice to people who are asking the right questions on the anti-establishment side when there is a heavy representation of this just pure stupidity. I mean, dude, like there's a person on Twitter, I'm not going to say their name, but they know who they are, that tweets all day about Big Mike, aka Michelle Obama, being a man.
Yeah.
This person could be using their voice.
You don't convert like that.
No, he's converted.
No, he's not.
How do you mean?
No. You don't persuade like that. You don't persuade by, like, for example, Newsom.
By the way, this account is number 2 or number 3 most engaged accounts on Twitter.
Oh shit.
Okay.
And they're just on Big Mike. But that's all they're saying.
But here's the point. But here's the point.
After Elon and Tate.
Yeah. The point is, what's your outcome? Is your outcome to be a echo chamber and have those people come and find you and retweet your stuff? Yeah, that works. I mean, there's a guy, Jackson, on Twitter. What's his last name? Jackson, I think.
Hinkle.
Jackson Hinkle,
Yeah.
right? By the way, during what happened with Israel Gaza, some of the stuff he tweets, I mean, it's pretty extreme stuff.
It just seemed, when you talk about this stuff, just know that I'm already seeing it all because I'm chronically online.
I'm not a fan of that.
He just.
I'm not a fan of both sides doing this.
So inauthentic.
Who's this? Newsom?
The Hinkle.
Hang on.
Because let me explain this one to you. The tweets would be these really nasty tweets about what was going on in Gaza. And by the way, bring the awareness. That's so important. But it would be like, the atrocity in Gaza must stop now. Subscribe to my premium for only $3. Right. And I don't know why it just always is like, I'm not saying I don't know why it just always, are you building awareness? Or are you trying to build a subscribership? That is that immediate, not just a subscribership on X where you can continue to put good information out there, but that just brings you money. It's a subscription.
But the risk of freedom of speech is you can have both types of people. And you have to be okay with it, right? You just have to know, like, okay, the moment you have an after-hours club where you serve alcohol, what's going to come with it? Let's actually go through
drugs, fights, sex,
ecstasy,
drugs.
You know,
Adam knows.
A conversation that Saudi's about to be having. How crazy is that?
They just passed their
74 years, and they passed repealed their alcohol ban.
But the point. What's the point here? The point is, when you open it up, like, you ever been at a club and somebody's overdosing?
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
If you're in the club business, That comes with the territory.
Yep.
You ever been in a club, a guy comes up with like 100 pills,
Selling
hey,
everybody.
$25 all the time. Okay, great. That comes with the business you're in. The business of freedom of speech is you're going to have the Jacksons and you're going to have the other side. They're going to do that. For me, again, it goes back to what you're solving for. Everything you have to start off with that question. Remember when he asked me, he said, how come we can't go back to that? What am I solving for? I'm not solving for just followership or just doing this and doing that. Do you know how many people get pissed that me and Chris Cuomo have a relationship? No, I'm not. Him and I talked today for 45 minutes. Do you know how many people get upset that him and I talk? They get so upset. Like, why would you talk to that guy? That guy was a CNN #1 show. He was the one that told people vaccine, and he was this one in his basement. And da-da-da. Totally get it. Okay, guess what I like? What I'm solving for is not an echo chamber. I like talking to people.
Right.
And push and let's go and, oh, shoot, there's a leak there. Well, then let me go do a little bit more research. Oh, boom, that's a good question right there. Let me go do this. I like that.
Strategizer.
Because I'm not solving for just being right. I'm solving for a great conversation.
But there's a lot of people, as you just said, that are doing that just for ego, for likes, for comments, for engagement, for subscriber bases.
For example, comedians.
How do you separate the two? Because for us to all sit here, especially like for you guys to sit here and say like, oh, I'm able to weed out this person, I'm able to weed out that person. Not everybody's able to do that, and I understand like. That is the greatest responsibility of freedom of speech rule that we have, is that people have a responsibility to be like, this person is not trustworthy. This is not an authentic person. I don't want to hear what they're saying and then tune them out. But some people can't do that.
The market nowadays is going to expose anybody that's being inauthentic. Like even social media. How many people have you seen blow up on YouTube and then die off? Wait a minute, what happened to that guy? Do you remember that one guy? Yeah, what? Dude, I have not seen him for this. What happened to her? What happened to this? This market is very brutal.
Forgetful.
The moment you're no longer being straight up and honest, and it's just the market will expose you in a heartbeat. That's how competition works. But no, for us, we're solving for that. And by the way, this concept of power versus force, the book, the whole power versus force. You ever heard of power versus force? You will love this book. Power versus force. I think it's something Schwartz, if you can pull it up. Yeah, and can you? It's Hawkins. Yeah, it's Hawkins. I always say Schwartz. Go back to it. Go back to the previous page.
But go to
and just go to images. Yeah, just go to images. Okay, when you think about this, type in chart next to power versus. No, take the book out. If you just take out book.
Yeah, there you
go.
Right there, PBD.
So go to the middle one. Go to the one to the right of that. One to the right of that. There you go. Zoom in a little bit into that. So watch this. From the lowest level of consciousness to the highest level. Look at the third chart. Third, not God, you,
shame,
life,
where
you.
it says
Yeah, shame is the lowest level.
Shame. Yeah.
The lowest level of consciousness in life is to be ashamed. It's the worst place to be ashamed. Then it's guilt because you keep reliving the mistake you made. It was my fault. It's all my fault. Apathy, right? Grief, regret, constantly in that place. Fear produces anxiety, panic, right? Desire. You're addicted to food, drugs, alcohol, sex, all this stuff. Anger, rage, hate, aggression. Pride, it's about me, I can't be wrong, da-da-da-da.
And then?
First step is what? Courage.
Courage.
The courage to be wrong. The courage to have the discussion, right? And then go into neutrality. I'm willing to entertain both sides. You're willing to talk. You're optimistic. Acceptance, forgiveness.
I think I'm in that two.
Which one?
Set.
Acceptance or willingness?
No, in the neutrality and willingness.
Perfect.
Definitely not super elevated.
But check this out. Even being neutrality though, right? This, if you look at this chart, this also represents a community and a country, right? America is not above it right now. America's below it right now.
Is this the pride flag?
So funny.
How the fuck did that happen?
They stole it from Vince.
Turned into
They stole
a map of consciousness.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
But the point is, when you think about like when you think about where we are as a country, okay, the country's level of consciousness right now is definitely not in neutrality.
I'd say 150.
I think that's the number. I think you're right. I think that's where it's at. Honestly,
I was
think it's 150.
I was going to say we're really gay.
Pride is on it.
America's gayer than it's ever been.
We're somewhere between 150 and 175.
Yeah.
Well, according to Gen Z, they're now a third.
A third. I just saw the
identifies
thing today.
gender queer. What is it?
Gender queer.
Yeah.
So that's.
Anyways, look, I'm gonna go check on these two kids, but Mike, this has been a fantastic conversation. What I love is the fact that how you're just, going through your own phase and you're asking the questions to get to a point. And most importantly, although you don't want to wish this upon people, honestly, you don't want to wish for you to go through those 3 incidents, violent crime in California to get to this conclusion to realize the policies in California is not working. Because unfortunately, there's other people like, yeah, I don't believe it. He's just saying this, Okay, great. And then they're going to go through it. Right. Yeah. And then they're going to like, dude, this is really actually happening.
But that's that's one of the things. And like, we didn't even really get into, we didn't even talk about substance abuse or any of the book or anything like that. But like, quickly for anybody watching this who's going through anything like that, violence against them, mental anguish, which I've spent a good chunk of my life in, substance abuse. Every single one of the horrible things that you read about in the book that I've been through, every time I was ashamed, every time I was embarrassed, every time I was guilty of something, every time I upset my mother or my probation officer, all led me to this table today. Every single one of those things, every single one of those days that I woke up and I didn't want to wake up, every single one of those days where I didn't think I was going to be able to put one foot in front of the other because I was too tired or exhausted or not in the right mind to do so, led me to where I am today. So for people watching this right now who are having a tough time, who are going through stuff in their own lives, who are somewhere low on that chart and waiting for a chance to be better and to show people and to impress people, your day's coming. Just keep going.
My man. By the way,
That's it,
Rob,
right,
that's the. Can you have Malik? Can you show the book on the screen? Oh, no, because Malik controls the screen, not Rob. and also, Rob, if you can put the link in the chat, please, and also in the description as well as in the comment section. Order the book, The Fifth Vital. Incredible story of 180, going from where you were at to where you are today. I applaud you for that, and I appreciate you for coming down and having this conversation. And listen, when you're in the moment and you're going through some of the stories, it's like sensitive stuff while you're going through, nobody wants to have those conversations, but you were class act about it. You took the questions. We went through it. And aside from that, gang, again, go click on the link, place the order the book. Mike, I'm sure we'll do something in the future again.
I'd love to. Thank you so much.
You look like you want to say something. Do you want to say something?
I just want to say I love all of you guys, and that's it. I just God bless you.
Connect with Vinny on Connect.
Yeah, hit me up on
too. And we have a podcast tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we got home.
I don't know how they told me 9 a.m. I was like, dude. I said, I got this job,
Mike,
so I didn't have to.
We're going out in South Beach after this, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah, he's done.
I'll go. Yeah. I got to go back anyways. Thank you, guys.
Man.
Honestly, thank you, bro.
God bless you, baby.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the morning. Bye-bye, bye-bye.